Hey guys, tonight we're stepping into a thick wall of fog, where the trees groan under vines and the morning air tastes like wet moss. Your world begins not in a crib or a hospital, but strapped to your mother's fur, bouncing with each lumbering step she takes through the cloud-drenched jungle of the Virunga Mountains. You don't know it yet, but you've just been born into one of the most ancient and misunderstood families in the animal kingdom. You're a mountain gorilla. Good luck. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, drop your location and local time in the comments. I love knowing who's tuning in and when. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're not screaming. That's the first thing your mother seems relieved about. Your eyes squint under a furry brow that doesn't quite fit your head yet, and your hands, way too big for anything human, are already gripping the hair on your mother's shoulder like the world depends on it. Which, to be fair, it kind of does. Everything around you is wet. The jungle isn't a postcard of green, it's a living, breathing soup. Water drips endlessly, birds shout like they're mid-divorce. Somewhere off to the left, a colobus monkey dies with a scream that ends too suddenly. Oh, welcome to nature. It's beautiful and horrible all at once, like a gourmet dish that occasionally bites back. You're the newest member of a tight-knit group called a troop. In it, one massive silverback male, who we'll talk about later, several adult females, a couple juveniles, who will definitely step on your face before breakfast. And now you. Congratulations. You're about the size of a loaf of bread, except hairier and infinitely louder when hungry. Your mother doesn't coddle. She's nurturing, yes, but she also climbs 15-meter trees with you latched to her like a sticky backpack. One loose grip, and it's a free fall ending in ferns or worse, a sharp rock. Luckily, your fingers are freakishly strong from day one. Evolution did not mess around with gorilla babies. The silverback rarely looks at you, yet you can feel his presence. You'll learn over time that he sees everything. He knows which vines have berries, which young males are getting cocky, and which female is thinking about wandering off. He doesn't waste energy. His eyes scan slowly, like tectonic plates shifting. One grunt from him can silence an entire jungle clearing. But for now, none of that matters. You're all instincts and neediness. Every time your mother pauses to forage, you squeal. She rips leaves from bushes with lips so dexterous they could probably thread a needle. She eats constantly. You, on the other hand, spend most of your hours suckling and occasionally pooping directly onto her thigh, which she tolerates with the weary patience of someone who's seen worse. She has one scholarly debate that still fascinates primatologists. How conscious are gorilla mothers of birth order dynamics? Do they parent differently with their third child than their first? One theory suggests experienced mothers are more relaxed, less prone to panic when their baby faceplants into a thistle bush. Another insists maternal style is more a function of troop stress, not experience. Let's be honest, your first few months are a blur of naps and nipples. You cling, eat, whimper, sleep. But even now, your ears twitch toward the sound of twig snaps. Your tiny brain files away the warning grunts of elder females. The chest beat of the silverback vibrates in your chest like thunder echoing through your bones. And there are threats. Leopards don't care about your family bonds. A juvenile could vanish in seconds. Forest elephants, though herbivores, are moody juggernauts. Even your own kind aren't always safe. Rival males sometimes raid troops, killing infants to make the mothers fertile again. You're not just growing, you're surviving. Still, there are gentle moments. Your mother hums, not a song, exactly, but a low melodic murmur, as she chews. You respond with breathy coos, the early bonding language of gorillas. Sometimes, she lets another juvenile inspect you, but only if they're careful. If one gets too rough, her glare could melt bark off a tree. By the time you're 6 weeks old, your neck works, kind of. You lift your head, and immediately wobble sideways into your mother's armpit. Triumph. Your troop moves slowly, looping a familiar circuit through the forest. Food sources change with the seasons. Bamboo shoots in spring, juicy thistles in summer. wild celery in the wet months. The elders know the rhythm of the jungle better than GPS ever could. You're learning it by osmosis. Here's a weird tidbit for you. Gorillas sometimes eat soil, not a snack choice you'd recommend, but they do it for minerals, especially when their diet lacks salt, and no, they don't season it. The jungle doesn't come with condiments. At night, your mother builds a new nest from scratch. Every single evening, a wide circle of bent branches, padded with leaves. She tucks you close against her chest. You drift off to the music of frogs and wind, and the far-off rustle of something large, something ancient, walking where even light dares not linger. One time, you awaken in the middle of the night to your mother's tension. She's not moving, but her muscles are iron beneath your belly. Something passed by. A predator, a rival troop. You don't know, you only feel her breath slow, eventually as the danger moves on. In those quiet moments, skin against fur, heartbeat against heartbeat, you feel more than safety. You feel legacy. You are one strand in a tapestry woven over millions of years. You're not a pet. You're not a cartoon character. You're not even particularly cute when you sneeze mid-yawn and accidentally pee on yourself. But you are vital, ancient, real, and your story is just beginning. Your grip is better now. At 3 months old, you can cling like a champion barnacle, even when your mother crashes through thorny undergrowth or scales trees thick with tangled moss. Your legs still dangle like socks on a clothesline, but your arms have the raw tenacity of a vine that refuses to let go. Clumsiness is the order of the day. Every time you try to climb off your mother's back, it's an adventure. Your limbs flail in different directions like a sleep-deprived spaghetti octopus. The ground, while not far, is filled with surprises. Sharp twigs, hidden insects, the occasional steaming pile of gorilla dung. You land in all of them at some point. Still, you're curious. That's new. Until now, survival was your only job. But now, your eyes scan the world not just for safety, but for answers. What's that insect? Why does that tree make a squelchy sound when you smack it? Who keeps stealing your banana peels? Your troop, your jungle family, is a moving classroom. The older juveniles show you what not to do, usually by example. One of them, a 4-year-old ball of chaos named Bogo, attempts to ride a bush pig. It ends with screams, flying leaves, and a deeply offended pig vanishing into the brush. You learn a valuable lesson. Not everything wants to be hugged. You start mimicking everything. Chest beats, cough grunts, the dramatic food-presenting ritual one adolescent male does to impress females. Spoiler, it doesn't work. You're soaking it in, even if most of it looks like performance art from the jungle's community theater. Now, let's talk about the real educators. The adult females. Your mother is one of several in the troop, and while she's your safe place, the others are your test audience. You inch toward one while she's picking leaves. You poke her toe, she ignores you. You poke harder. She flashes a canine's bared grimace that sends you rolling backward into a puddle. You learn something, kind of. This period between 3 months and 1 year isn't just about growing stronger, it's about learning relationships. Every glance, every grunt, every swat carries meaning. Social cues here are as layered as any high school cafeteria drama. Grooming is gold. Sharing food is currency. Touching someone's prized bark stash without permission. Social suicide. There's one moment you'll never forget. The first time the silverback acknowledges you. It happens without warning. You're playing alone with a vine, chewing the end like it's a popsicle made of misery. He walks past, massive, deliberate, silent, and then he pauses, just a fraction of a second. His deep eyes flick to you. He exhales through his nose and keeps walking. That was it. That was your Oscar moment. He saw you, not as a baby, not as baggage, as a thing in the world. Biologists have debated for years whether gorillas truly recognize individuals the way humans do. Facial memory, scent patterns, vocal tonality. One theory suggests that gorillas can remember every troop member for life, while another argues recognition fades with distance and time. No one agrees. But you know, you felt it. That look stayed etched behind your eyes for days. As you approach your first birthday, your body begins to cooperate, kind of. Your knuckles become your second feet. You start mastering the classic gorilla knuckle walk, though it still looks like interpretive dance crossed with drunk yoga. Your belly drags more than it should. You trip on your own fingers. But you're mobile, sort of. That mobility comes with consequences. You venture too far once, just 30 feet, really, and get lost behind a curtain of vines. Panic sets in. The world suddenly grows too big. You chirp, once, then louder. Your mother finds you instantly, pushes her chest against your head, and grunts something low and comforting. You don't understand the words, but you understand safety. Here's a fun fringe tidbit. Some field researchers claim that gorilla mothers will fake a distraction, or even slap their own chest to lure a wandering baby back toward the group. It's like saying, "Oh no, look at me, I'm doing something way cooler than that poisonous frog you're chasing." No one can confirm if it's intentional manipulation, or just gorilla parenting flair. Let's talk smells. You're a smelly little beast. Gorillas use scent to communicate more than people realize. A stressed silverback releases a particular musky odor that tells everyone in the troop, "Hey, I smell like a panic attack. Something's wrong." Your own scent right now, mostly milk, mud, and fear, which is why older juveniles occasionally sniff you and then run away, gagging. As you grow bolder, you start forming bonds with others your age, with the occasional tolerant teen, even with one bird who seems to enjoy following you from branch to branch. You name him Gweep, because that's the sound he makes. Gweep doesn't do much, but he's there, and that counts for something. Nighttime becomes your favorite part of the day. The nest feels familiar now. You help gather leaves, badly, but still. You press close to your mother's body, the warmth like a blanket made of love and sweat. You listen to the forest exhale. Somewhere, a distant tree falls. Your ears twitch. You fall asleep mid-snore. One night, you dream. That's new. In your dream, you chase a banana the size of your entire body. It talks. It insults your walk. You tackle it anyway. Scientists are still debating whether non-human primates dream with visual clarity, but based on how often you wake up kicking the air, something weird is going on in that fuzzy little brain of yours. Eventually, dawn breaks. You open your eyes. There's dew on your eyelashes. Your mother is already chewing. Today, you will fall from a vine, step in elephant dung, and try to hug a butterfly that absolutely does not want to be hugged. But you'll also make your first friend. There are now 4 of you. You, the vine licker. Kima, the leaf thrower. Lolo, the face slapper. And Tembe, who mostly stares at bugs like he's communing with the ancestors. Together, you form the youngest social unit in your troop, the nursery group. That's not what the adults call it, of course. They mostly call it headache. But to you, this is your chaotic jungle kindergarten. You're nearly 2 years old now, with just enough coordination to cause meaningful destruction. You still rely on your mother for food and cuddles, but you're spending more time wrestling with your peers, biting ears, stealing fruit, and learning the unspoken laws of gorilla society. One shoving match at a time. Play is serious business. Every tumble, every mock fight, every chase through the underbrush is teaching you about dominance, submission, patience, and most importantly, who cries to their mom the fastest. Spoiler, it's still you, but only just. Social scientists agree for gorillas, play isn't a luxury, it's an evolutionary tool. Through roughhousing, you learn how far is too far, how hard is too hard, how long you can pin Kima before Lolo leaps onto your back like a rabid squirrel, and when to run. Lolo, by the way, has a slap that could end wars. She once smacked Kima so hard he fell off a branch and landed in a bush full of fire ants. You all learned a valuable lesson that day. Never steal Lolo's beetle. Your mothers keep a watchful eye from nearby. Not too close. Independence matters, but close enough to intervene if someone starts bleeding, or if someone Tembe tries to lick a snake again. The jungle is a loud teacher. Parrots screech obscenities at each other. Baboons howl their soap operas from the cliffs. And every now and then, the silverback lets out a chest beat. that feels like it's rearranging your spine. You've started trying to imitate that beat. It's a disaster. You slap your chest with such enthusiasm, you lose your balance and land butt first in a termite mound. That earns you a week of itching and a valuable lesson: perform after checking for bugs. Here's a mainstream biological fact. Gorillas have a rich vocal repertoire, over 20 distinct vocalizations. There's the grunt of reassurance, the hoot of curiosity, the scream of pain, and the low rumbling belch of satisfaction that echoes through the jungle after a particularly good meal. You're mastering each one slowly, like a fuzzy, loud linguist. But here's the part no one prepares you for: gorilla politics. Yes, even at this age, Kima starts hanging out more with Tembe. They share fruit and team up in chase games, subtly pushing you out. Lolo, who used to be your vine-swinging partner, now smirks when you fall. You don't understand it fully yet, but the pecking order is shifting. You feel it in your belly, like hunger, but colder. You try to reassert yourself by presenting a perfect mushroom you found under a log. You hold it out dramatically. No one cares. Lolo takes it, sniffs it, and eats it, without a word. Your chest feels weird. This is your first taste of rejection, of being edged out. And the strange thing is, you don't fight back. You sulk. You sit beneath a fig tree and make sad little hoots until a butterfly lands on your head, and you feel a bit better. One fringe theory suggests that gorilla emotional intelligence rivals that of early humans. Some researchers have observed mourning behaviors, troop members sitting silently beside a fallen comrade, grooming the lifeless body, and staying long after predators would have scared them off. No one's certain if it's grief as we understand it, but you know this. You feel deeply. Still, the jungle doesn't slow down for your feelings. During one particularly rainy afternoon, something changes. You're all huddled beneath overlapping leaves. The sky is dumping buckets, and even the bugs look annoyed. Then Tembe sneezes, so violently that he farts and slips down a slope. The group howls with laughter. Even the adults glance over. You laugh too, not out of cruelty, but connection. Later that day, you help Lolo swat flies off her back. You and Kima share a stripped branch. Tembe leans on you when he dozes. You're back in the group. For now. At night, nestled in your mother's newly built nest, you murmur soft hoots in your sleep. She hums in return, her massive palm draped over your chest like a living shield. You dream again, this time of floating bananas, flying frogs, and a long hallway filled with mirrors. Scientists are still debating whether great apes experience self-awareness in the same way humans do. Some pass the mirror test, some don't. But in your dream, when you look into the mirror, you recognize those eyes. You know they're yours. And still, you wake up feeling like something is missing, something you can't quite name. The next day, you climb higher than you ever have, up into the canopy where the sun splinters through a cathedral of green. You feel the wind. You smell the world. You stretch your arms and feel strong. And then you fall. Not far, thankfully, just a branch or two, but enough to rattle your teeth and send a bolt of pain up your spine. Your group rushes over, including the adults. Your mother checks you. The silverback grunts and moves on. But in that moment, surrounded by worried eyes, you feel seen. You didn't die. You learned. And now, as dusk settles in, and the air fills with the sound of insects rehearsing their midnight orchestra, you sit beside Lolo once again. She doesn't slap you. You don't steal her beetle. Peace has been restored, at least until someone tries to ride the bush pig again. The silverback has always been there, towering, silent, looming like a boulder with opinions. But now, for the first time, you begin to notice him. You're getting older, approaching 3 years now, and something about the way you view the troop has shifted. The forest still fascinates you, the leaves still beg to be chewed, and your peers still insist on biting your toes when you least expect it. But there's a new gravitational force in your life. Him. He doesn't move much. That's the first strange thing you realize, while you and your nursery crew are pinballing from tree to bush to mud puddle. The silverback moves with the calm certainty of a god with a calendar. Every step seems pre-approved by the laws of nature. Every pause feels like it has meaning, and when he does move, fast, it's terrifying. It starts with a sound, not a roar, not a screech, just a low, pulsing grunt. Then the beat. Thump, 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 thump. His fists strike his chest so hard the vibration ripples through the soil. He charges, but not aimlessly. He barrels toward two rival males approaching from the trees, all swagger and teeth. They vanish before he even gets close. And just like that, it's over. The troop resumes eating like nothing happened. You're frozen, eyes wide, heart slamming your ribs. You weren't the target, but you felt that charge in your marrow. The silverback is no longer just a feature of the landscape. He is power, not the shouty, try-hard kind the juveniles throw around. Real power. Ancient power. The kind that doesn't have to explain itself. Here's a mainstream fact. A dominant silverback usually leads the troop for over a decade, fathering most of the young and managing conflicts. His job isn't just about brute strength, though he has that in spades. It's about knowing when to move, when to wait, when to protect, and when to let others fail quietly. But you don't think of any of that yet. To you, he's a living mountain with a face. You start watching him more, you imitate his grunts. Poorly. You try to mimic his deliberate walk, though you mostly just look like you've injured your hips. When he strips bark from a tree, you find that tree later, and sniff it like it holds secrets. Maybe it does. But here's the thing about idolizing someone in real time. You start to feel small, useless. Every time you puff up your chest to impress Lolo or Kima, you glance at the silverback and deflate like a dropped mango. One day, you try your own chest beat. It's not bad. Tembe even looks impressed. Then the silverback, without glancing at you, lets out a soft, almost bored grunt. Your stomach flips. You sit down immediately. It wasn't even aggressive. It was just dismissive. Like he was saying, you haven't earned that sound yet. One quirky tidbit. Some researchers believe juvenile gorillas practice dominant signals in private, chest beating, charge displays, even solo grooming rituals, like kids playing dress-up, testing the costume of authority before they've earned the right to wear it. You, my friend, are currently in full rehearsal mode. Still, something unexpected happens. One afternoon, while the troop is lazily sunbathing, you catch the silverback watching you. Not long, just a flicker, but it wasn't the dismissive glance of before. It was curious. You had just helped Tembe up after he slipped on moss. That was it. A simple, instinctive kindness. And the silverback saw it. Scientists are still debating how much intentional mentoring happens in gorilla troops. Some argue silverbacks are too removed to notice the younger ones beyond discipline. Others point to subtle behaviors, watchfulness, tolerance, physical positioning during rest, that suggest quiet guidance. No one agrees. But that day, you felt it. You were seen. The next morning, you wake up, and the forest is singing. Birds warble, insects hiss, leaves drip from last night's rain. The troop is stirring, building a lazy breakfast routine of vine chewing and armpit scratching. Then the silverback grunts. Everyone stops. That grunt means move. No one argues. The mothers hoist babies. Juveniles grumble and follow. You're at the back of the group, dragging a half-eaten fruit, like a reluctant student with a lunchbox. But you keep glancing forward. You watch him lead. He doesn't explain. He just goes. He knows where the best bamboo shoots are this month. He knows where the old fruit trees haven't been picked clean by those annoying mangabies. He knows how to pace the hike, so that the old females don't tire too quickly. And you're starting to realize that growing up doesn't just mean getting stronger. It means learning how to move others without a single word. That night, you build your very first solo nest. It's a disaster, lopsided, too small, probably haunted, but it's yours. Your mother sleeps nearby, but not touching. You feel both proud and a little lost. You curl up. You listen to the soft rustling of the troop settling in. Somewhere, off to the left, the silverback lets out a deep, rumbly belch grunt. It feels like permission. You close your eyes, dreaming of tree limbs and thunder beats, and someday, maybe, earning that grunt for yourself. It happens in a blink. 1 second you're just tumbling around with Kima under the heavy canopy, both of you squealing, flipping each other onto piles of soft leaves. The next, he bites you, not a playful nibble, but a real bite, right on your arm, hard. You scream. It shocks the forest. Birds scatter. An old female gasps and mutters something that probably translates to, "Oh, not again." Kima jumps back, just as surprised by his own aggression. But it's too late. Your arm throbs, warm and wet. You look down, there's blood. Not gushing, but enough to stain the hair and scare you down to your bones. You're 3.5 now. That bite marks the end of something. See? Before now, every scuffle was practice. Chest beats were cute. Shoves were forgivable. But this is different. This is the first time you understand that violence isn't always pretend. The adults don't coddle you. Your mother inspects the wound, gives you a short grunt that means you'll live, and returns to her banana peels. Lolo brings you a leaf. It's not medicinal, just wet and floppy, but you appreciate the gesture. Kima avoids you for the rest of the day. You don't avoid him. You stare, a lot. Something inside you has shifted. You're starting to realize there's a game being played here, and it's not always fair. Let's drop a mainstream biological truth in here. Gorillas form complex dominance hierarchies, even in youth. It's not just about who chest beats the loudest. It's about who gets the best resting spots, who gets first dibs on snacks, and who can bite without getting bitten back. And now, you're learning how that game feels from the bottom. You nurse your wound quietly. There's no first aid, no band-aids, just time and patience and a slow burning anger that simmers in your gut. Later that week, something happens that rewrites your idea of danger completely. The troop is foraging near a patch of dense brush. You're poking around the edge, looking for beetles, your guilty snack of choice, when a low growl cuts through the trees, not from your troop, from something else. The silverback reacts before your brain even processes the sound. He's up, charging, chest beating like thunder incarnate. Mothers grab their babies. Juveniles climb trees. You scramble up a trunk with all the grace of a frightened potato. Through the branches, you glimpse it. A leopard, long, muscular, painted in shadow and stealth. It's not interested in the silverback. It's circling the edges, looking for someone smaller. Someone like you. The silverback doesn't give it a chance. He doesn't just scare it off. He hunts it. A full charge, deep roars, snapping branches. The leopard retreats, not in shame, but in caution. Even predators have limits. Eventually the silverback returns, calm, untouched, like he went for a casual jog through death itself. And just like that, it's over. Scientists debate whether silverbacks truly protect individuals, or if their defense instincts are more about preserving the group structure. Either way, today you were part of that structure. You were under that protection, but it still rattles you. The jungle isn't made of safety nets. It's made of fangs and claws and moments that end too quickly. You knew that before, but now you feel it. That night, as you curl beside your mother, you touch your healing arm. You think of Kima, of the leopard, of the silverback's roars. Something hums in your chest. A wordless desire to be strong enough to matter. Here's a fringe tidbit. Some wild gorillas have been observed returning to the site of a predator encounter days later, not to forage, not to nest, just to look, as if acknowledging the place where they almost weren't. You'll do the same in a few days. You won't tell anyone why. The bite scabs over. But now, something inside you doesn't. You begin to challenge more. A shove here, a stolen fruit there. You and Kima square off again, this time with intent. You don't bite, but you don't run either. Your peers take notice. Lolo even nods once. The silverback, he doesn't intervene. He watches, not approving, not condemning, just witnessing, like the forest itself. Days roll forward. Your arm fully heals, but the memory remains sharp. So does your awareness. You've seen blood now, your blood, and for the first time, you understand in this world, every bond, every rule, every inch of respect must be earned and defended, sometimes with a chest beat, sometimes with teeth. You wake up one morning, and everything is different. Not the forest. That's the same orchestra of wet branches, distant birds, and endless humidity. Not your troop. They're still half asleep, swatting bugs and yawning like overworked librarians. It's you. Your arms are longer, your shoulders wider, your voice deeper, your face more confusing. Hair is sprouting in new places, your chest feels itchy for no reason, and your moods swing from let's hug everyone to if Kima breathes near me again, I'll throw a rock. Congratulations, you're now officially a teenager, a blackback. Welcome to the hormone jungle. Everything irritates you. Everyone talks too loud. Lolo's giggle makes your eye twitch. Even your own mother seems to sigh a little louder when you show up late to forage. And don't get me started on Kima. He still chews with his mouth open, like a warthog trying to do stand-up comedy. But most distracting of all, that tufted female. She's new, young, still attached to her mother most of the time, but her fur glistens in the sun like a freshly washed mango. You can't stop looking, which is unfortunate, because every time you try to impress her, your body betrays you. You try to climb a tree and fall. You try a dramatic chest beat and accidentally slap your own chin. At one point, you bring her a particularly juicy bit of bark, and she throws it into a puddle without making eye contact. You swear the puddle itself looked smug. This stage of life is like being trapped in a costume 3 sizes too big while juggling fire. You feel like an adult, but no one treats you like one. Not the mothers, not the silverback, not the girls, definitely not the birds, who seem to poop on you more now, probably on purpose. Here's a mainstream biological insight. Blackbacks are sexually mature but not yet dominant. They exist in a strange limbo, physically capable of challenging the alpha, but socially expected to simmer down and fetch snacks. Many stay in the troop for a few extra years, learning by watching, waiting, and occasionally sulking behind a bush. That's you now, sulking and dreaming. You begin to drift away from the nursery group. Play feels childish. The younger ones annoy you. You start walking alone, sitting alone, thinking more. One theory among primatologists suggests that adolescent gorillas engage in a form of pre-departure distancing, where they slowly detach emotionally from the troop before their inevitable exile. Whether it's instinct or just awkwardness, the outcome is the same. You're pulling away, and no one's trying to stop you. Well, except your mother. She still checks on you sometimes. She offers you fruit. She watches when you sleep. But even her attention is thinning. You can feel her shifting, nudging you toward the wild edge of independence. It stings, but deep down, you understand. Still, your emotions are volcanic. You burst into loud hoots when startled. You start mock charging Kima again, only now it's not mock. One time, you get too close to the silverback's personal space, and he responds with a full-on chest beat and a short charge that leaves you frozen mid-squat. He doesn't touch you. He doesn't need to. It's enough to remind you of the law. This is his troop. For now, one fringe tidbit. Some blackbacks form coalitions, brief alliances. They team up to challenge alphas, or to form new breakaway troops. It's rare, but real. You and Kima, despite everything, begin spending more time together again. Not playing, not laughing, just watching, whispering, plotting. But the silverback knows. Of course he does. He watches you both with the relaxed menace of someone who's seen 50 of you come and go. There's a night where everything nearly boils over. You catch the silverback grooming the tufted female. She's preening under his fingers like he invented sunshine. You lose control. You beat your chest. Loud, fast, reckless. The troop stops. Everyone looks. Even Gweep, your childhood bird companion, flies away like nope, not dying today. The silverback stands. Your heart forgets how to beat. He doesn't charge. He just walks toward you. Slow, inevitable. You lower your eyes. Your arms tremble. Your knees dip. He stands over you, silent, and then he turns away. No roar, No strike, no humiliation, just dismissal. It hits harder than a punch. He's not scared of you, not even a little. Later, in your corner of the nest site, you stare at the stars through the canopy. You feel like a spark trying to ignite a bonfire. Angry, sad, alive. Scientists still debate whether gorillas feel ambition the way humans do. Some say their social behavior is too reactive. Others argue there's evidence of long-term strategic planning, delayed challenges, silent alliances, behavioral mimicry. You're not sure what's true, but you know this. You want more. Not just food, not just mating rights, respect. The tufted female leaves with another troop a week later. No fanfare, no goodbye. You don't cry, not because it doesn't hurt, but because something deeper is changing in you. Grief, anger, hunger, longing, all boiling into a new emotion. Drive. You are a blackback now, a teenager in the jungle, and the world is about to get a lot lonelier. It happens without a ceremony. No farewell dance, no trumpet fanfare from the birds, just a slow morning, the same mist clinging to the leaves, the same grunts echoing across the valley, and you're walking, alone. You don't even know when the troop disappeared behind you. Maybe they stopped. Maybe they watched you leave. Maybe they didn't notice at all. One thing is certain, no one followed. You are now a solitary male, an exile, a blackback on the edge of the known world. This is the moment you've been dreading for moons. But now that it's here, it feels quiet. Not tragic, not dramatic, just heavy. Like the jungle has dropped a lead blanket over your shoulders. Your first instinct is to turn around, to go back to the silverback's shadow, to your mother's steady breath, to the familiar comfort of nightly nests built side by side. But you don't, you keep walking. This is how it begins. Most male gorillas leave their natal group between ages 8 and 12. Some depart in a blaze of conflict, others just slip away, like a page turning. Evolution doesn't care about your feelings, it only cares that you leave. You're strong now, lean, long-armed. Your back hasn't silvered yet, but your eyes have started to narrow with the kind of weariness only solitude teaches. The first few nights are the worst. You try to build a nest, it collapses. You sleep in a thorn bush, and wake up with a porcupine's worth of regrets in your side. You hear unfamiliar sounds, owl cries, distant hoots, branches snapping in patterns that feel wrong, and no one's there to grunt comfort. On the third night, a storm rolls in, sheets of rain slapping the forest with wet fury. You huddle beneath a rotting log, shivering, hungry, and fur-soaked to your bones. That's when it hits you. You are not part of a troop anymore. You are a target. A solo male is vulnerable, in ways a juvenile never was. You're not small enough to be ignored, but you're not dominant enough to be respected. You're in between, a walking challenge to every alpha in the forest, and a lonely snack for every predator with an appetite. Here's a biological fact that feels personal now. Solitary blackbacks often wander for years before either finding a mate or challenging a silverback. Some never succeed. They become ghosts in the jungle, quiet, unseen, forgotten. You refuse to be one of those. Still, the jungle doesn't make it easy. You forage poorly. You've always had others to show you where the best roots grow, or how to snap open a thorny pod without stabbing yourself. Now you learn by trial, error, and a lot of mouth injuries. You find one patch of fermented fruit, and eat until you're dizzy. You fall asleep mid-chew, and wake up next to a warthog who is definitely judging your choices. You slip in mud. You get chased by hornbills. You bark at your own reflection in a puddle, and still, you survive. One morning, you discover a waterfall. It's not just beautiful, it's yours. You grunt softly, tap your chest, and declare it part of your range. The echo makes it feel official. Days blur. You become quieter, sharper. You start to recognize which vines hum with bees, and which ones hum with danger. You learn to sniff out soil disturbances that signal recent leopard movement. You figure out how to groom yourself without ripping out half your fur. But the loneliness never quite fades. You miss the sound of other voices. You catch yourself hooting into the void sometimes, just to hear something bounce back. You hum while you eat. You hum while you nest. You hum while you squat to poop. It's not art, but it's something. Here's a fringe tidbit for your growing solitude. Some solitary gorillas have been recorded mimicking troop behaviors when alone, like fake grooming an invisible partner, or talking to empty branches. No one knows if it's habit, memory, or madness. You experience all three. One day, you catch a scent, another gorilla, female, you freeze. You climb a tree for a better view, which is dumb, because you immediately fall out of it, but still, you catch a glimpse, a small group, a young silverback, barely older than you, 3 females, 1 infant. Your heart kicks like a drumline. You don't approach, you don't dare, but you watch. For hours, you ache. You want to be seen, touched, needed. But the silverback watches the edges too. He locks eyes with you once, no threat, just a warning. Not yet. You vanish before the sun sets, and so the exile continues. But something in you has changed. You're not wandering aimlessly anymore. You have a goal, a reason to climb every hill, sniff every breeze, outlive every storm. You don't want to be alone forever. You want your own troop, your own place, your own story, and maybe, someday soon, your own silverback. Solitude carves you. Not all at once. Not like a storm, more like erosion. A slow reshaping, over weeks, over months. The parts of you that needed constant company begin to quiet. The dependency softens. The jungle no longer feels like an enemy. It feels like a complicated roommate with poor hygiene and a lot of knives. You become efficient. Still not graceful, not yet, but no longer clumsy. You know the weight of your own limbs now. You know how to cross a slick tree trunk without falling like an amateur. You know which moss hides snakes and which hides nothing but sleepy frogs who blink at you in slow, unimpressed judgment. Your back still isn't silver, but you're changing. You sleep in different places each night, not because you have to, but because you want to. You're charting the land now, learning which patches of forest host which fruit trees, mapping the ravines, the ridges, the tangled undergrowth that would trip anyone but you. You are becoming something more than a wanderer. You are becoming a ghost with a plan. Scientists often debate how much foresight gorillas actually possess. Is a lone blackback truly strategizing his movements, tracking seasonal fruit cycles, observing troop migrations, or just reacting to hunger and instinct? One theory suggests gorillas keep mental calendars of edible zones. Another insists they're simply very good at wandering in loops. Whatever the truth, you now travel in loops. Intentional loops. You cross paths with other males. You keep your distance. Sometimes you exchange glances, curious, sharp. Sometimes you pretend you didn't see them at all. Because in this phase, no one wants a fight. Not yet, but it's inevitable. Your first challenge is sloppy. You hear him before you see him. Another blackback, vocalizing loudly, almost too loudly. A bluff, clearly. You approach slowly, posture low, heartbeat hammering. He's big, not silverback big, but bigger than you. And he's young, aggressive. He starts the chest beat first, wild, uncoordinated. Like a toddler, playing a drum kit with bananas. You respond. Your first real chest beat. It hurts. Your fists slam your sternum like war hammers. The sound cracks through the trees. Birds scatter. Somewhere a monkey screams for no reason. Then, silence, and he charges. You meet in the mud. It's not elegant. There's slapping, grunting, more slapping. You trip. He slips. At one point you both pause to catch your breath and then pretend you didn't. You wrestle like gods who forgot the choreography. And then just as fast, it's over. He backs down. No real wounds, just bruises and a mouthful of dirt. You grunt. He vanishes. You won. Barely, stupidly. But you did. And something shifts in you. It's not just the thrill of dominance, it's the realization that you can. You're not a child anymore. You're not a tag-along in someone else's troop. You are, for the first time, a force. That night, you don't sleep in your usual nest. You climb a ridge and build your nest high up, overlooking the forest. The wind touches your back. The stars are brighter here. You sit with your sore muscles, your swollen knuckles, your aching pride, and you smile. Here's a mainstream biological reality. Solitary males who've won a few minor conflicts are more likely to either steal females from existing groups or attract young dispersing females into forming a new troop. You don't know this, of course, but your body knows. Your instincts know. You're not just surviving anymore. You're building. One morning, while foraging near a marsh, you hear her. A soft grunt, a female, alone, young, skittish. You freeze. She's just a few paces away, sniffing leaves, her ears twitching at every sound. She sees you and bolts, but not far. She stops, turns, stares. You sit. Just that. No beat. No charge. No performance. She stays, just for a moment. Then she vanishes. But the seed is planted. The next week, she returns, with another, 2 females. No infant. No silverback scent. You lead them, casually, slowly, to one of your favorite food spots. You keep your distance. You sleep nearby. They watch. They whisper in the wind. By the full moon, they've stopped running. You've begun your troop. Here's a fringe fact. Early forming guerrilla groups often start informally, with females trailing a lone male for weeks, sometimes months before full bonding is observed. Field researchers call this the silent courtship, full of non-verbal trust rituals. You're in the middle of one now. You don't fully understand it, but you feel it. Your chest beat sounds different now, more measured, more like his. You remember him, the old silverback you once idolized, feared, mimicked. You wonder if he knows you're out here, beginning your own myth. Off. You fall asleep that night, not alone, not exactly together, but watched, which, after all this time, is enough. It starts with another scent. He's nearby. You smell him before you see him. Musky, sharp, layered with sweat and leaf and something else. Testosterone wrapped in old bark. This isn't some jittery blackback flailing through adolescence. This is a rival, a full male, like you. Maybe older, maybe stronger. You knew it would come to this. Building your own troop, even just 2 females deep, makes you a target. Every time you step near one of them, their eyes dart, not to you but to the trees. Listening, waiting. They know what's coming. So do you. You rise early that morning. The forest fog clings low, curling around your ankles like smoke from an unseen fire. Birds whisper. A single branch snaps. There he is. You don't know his name. You won't need it. He steps out slowly. No drama. No bluff. He's massive. Not quite silver yet. But his back gleams with specks of age. His eyes meet yours. And they don't look away. There's no female with him. Not now. Just you. The jungle holds its breath. And then you both charge. It's not clean, it's not ceremonial, it's chaos. Fists slam chests, teeth snap at air. You grab fur, twist, throw. He bites your arm, you roar. Not a grunt, not a call, a roar. The kind of sound that shakes trees and makes the fruit fall early. Your first real duel. Guerrilla fights are short but brutal. They aren't dances, they're collisions. No one wins with dignity. You're both bleeding, panting, half blind from sweat and dirt. Your shoulder screams. One of his fingers is bent wrong. Neither of you stop. And still, he keeps coming. You charge again. This time faster, lower, teeth bared. He hesitates, just slightly, and that's enough. You slam into him, chest to chest. A tree cracking under your feet as the impact throws him backward. He hits the ground, and stays down, not long, just enough. He rises, he stares, and he walks. No drama, no sound, just defeat. He leaves, and the forest exhales. Here's a mainstream fact. Most silverback conflicts end without death. One retreats, often the younger, sometimes the wiser, rarely the weaker. Because in the jungle, surviving is winning. Your females return slowly. One touches your arm. It's not affection, it's acknowledgement. She saw, she knows. You sit on a flat rock, watching the trees sway, and for the first time, you feel it. Dominance. Earned. Not inherited. Not borrowed. Yours. Your body hurts. Everything aches. You'll limp for a week, maybe more, but inside, something's changed. Here's a fringe observation from researchers. After a major duel, victorious gorillas often spend hours in silence, not eating, not grooming, just being. It's not pride, it's processing. You do the same. You lie in the sun. You press your palms to the earth. You breathe, and you remember his eyes. There was something there, recognition, not of fear, but kinship. Like two war veterans meeting in opposite trenches. You'll probably see him again someday, but not today. That night, you build the nest, not for yourself, but near the two females, not with them, but close. You grunt gently. They grunt back. No one speaks, but everything is understood. When the moon rises, you catch your reflection in the water. Your back hasn't silvered yet, but your eyes are older now, sharper, wiser. Scientists are still debating whether gorillas experience trauma the way humans do. But one thing's clear, memory lives in the body, and your body now carries a story in every bruise. You fought, you survived, and you protected something, not just your place, not just your pride, your beginning. The first silver hair appears one morning, like an accident. You don't even notice it at first. It's not a transformation, it's not a magical rite. It's just a tiny glint on your lower back, barely visible in the misty dawn light. One of the females spots it before you do. She stares, grunts softly, not mockery, something closer to approval. You twist your neck to look. There it is, just a streak. But it's the beginning. You're becoming him. Not the him who exiled you, but the idea of him. The silverback, the leader, the final word. The thunder after the silence. Your stride changes after that. Not on purpose. You just slow down, stand taller. Your chest opens more. You don't flinch as much when birds explode out of bushes. You start choosing the path instead of following the trail. And the others notice. The troop is growing now. You've attracted another female, a quiet one with wise eyes, and a limp that suggests she escaped something terrible. She never speaks of it, but she stays close to you. That's enough. With 3 females, and no challengers in sight, the jungle seems to lean in your direction. Food is plentiful. Predators avoid you. Even the weather feels less aggressive. Though let's be honest, the rain still smells like betrayal most nights. One mainstream biological fact: the silver hair on a gorilla's back isn't just aesthetic, it's a social signal. A visual banner that says, this male has reached full maturity, both in age and in authority. It commands attention and obedience, but it also carries weight, because now, everything's your problem. When Kazi, the youngest female, gets a thorn lodged in her foot, she screams, not for her mother, not for the older females, for you. You approach, she shows it, you inspect it, you don't remove it. You have no idea how, but you sit beside her while she whimpers. That's enough. She stops. Protection isn't just about fighting, it's about presence. When a young blackback approaches the edge of your troop, testing your reaction, you don't charge, you simply rise. Stand tall, let him see the glint of your silver in the morning light. He leaves without a sound. You're starting to understand what the old silverback knew. Power used rarely is the power that lasts, but it's not all gravitas and stoic tree poses. There's laughter too. Your troop starts developing quirks. Kazi likes to steal fruit and stash it in hollow logs. One morning you catch her trying to wear a leaf as a hat. You don't understand why, but she's clearly delighted. You grunt approval. She roars with joy. Another female, Naya, grooms you obsessively. Always the same spot behind your left ear. Maybe she thinks it's lucky, maybe it's a nervous tick. You let her, it becomes a ritual. And the third, the limping one, her name is Donia. She watches the trees, always, like she's waiting for something. You never ask what, but every time she looks scared you move closer. She notices, and she starts sleeping nearer to your nest. One fringe observation from field researchers: silverbacks often sleep slightly apart from the troop, but close enough to react instantly. Their nests are always in strategic locations, higher ground, wider sightlines, near escape paths. It's not a coincidence. It's design. You start doing the same. At night you patrol the perimeter, not because you expect a fight, because it's what you do now. One morning you wake to find the troop already stirring. Donya has found a new fruit patch. Naya is grooming Kazi. You rise slowly, letting the warmth of the sunrise creep along your spine. You're not surprised to find another silver strand waiting for you. Two now. By mid-year, it becomes a stripe. By the time the rains return, it's a cloak. Or one evening, you catch your reflection in the surface of a still pond. You tilt your head. That face, it's yours. But it's not the same one that whimpered in his mother's nest, or tried to hug butterflies, or picked fights with hornbills. It's older, sharper, calmer. Your eyes hold storms now. Scientists are still debating whether gorillas recognize their own aging process the way humans do. Some argue they respond to visual cues, like the silverback itself. Others believe it's tied to hormonal shifts, postural changes, and changes in behavior by those around them. You don't care what the science says. You feel it. You carry it. The weight of leadership, the trust of others, the burden of silence, and the quiet thrill of knowing you are becoming exactly who you were meant to be. You don't remember the exact moment it began. One day, you're wandering through your favorite grove, humming low while stripping bark off a tasty branch, and the next, you're facing him, an aging silverback, eyes milky with time, chest sagging, but still built like a stone altar to the gods of dominance. You stop. He stops. The air thickens. Behind him, a troop. 4 females, 1 adolescent, 2 infants. Behind you, your breath, your heartbeat, the ghosts of every moment that led you here. You don't charge. Not yet. That's not how this works. He grunts. Not loud. Just enough. A statement. You grunt back. Not a challenge. An invitation. Because this isn't just a fight for females. This is a test of succession. He knows it. You know it. And the forest knows it too. One mainstream fact: silverback displacement often happens without bloodshed. Older males, aware of their declining strength, may step down quietly when faced with a younger, stronger, patient rival. It's not cowardice. It's wisdom. But sometimes, the young one must prove his worth first. You don't roar. You don't puff up. You wait. You trail them for days. Never too close. Never too far. Watching. Gauging. Letting them see you. Letting them wonder. You forage loudly at dawn. You beat your chest under moonlight. You display your silverback like a flag raised above a fortress soon to be yours. Dundia keeps her distance. Naya watches quietly. Kazi, she's thrilled. Every night she brings back gossip in the form of wide-eyed glances and excited grunts. On the 4th day, the old silverback comes to you, alone, no audience, no bluff. He stands across a clearing and waits. You rise, step forward, and you stare. Minutes pass. He doesn't move, and then he lowers his eyes, turns, walks away. Not far, just aside. Enough. And the troop follows you. No fanfare, no roars, no crown ceremony, just footsteps, toward you. You have claimed a troop. This is how kingdoms rise in the jungle, not by fire, but by patience. Not with chaos, but with stillness. Here's a fringe tidbit. Some field reports suggest older silverbacks may recognize suitable successors and retreat rather than provoke conflict. There's no firm consensus, but some even speculate this is a form of social intelligence passing the torch without destruction. You never see him again, but you think of him often, especially when one of the new infants tumbles into your path and blinks up at you with big, confused eyes. You help him up. Gently, silently. He chirps in surprise. You nod once, and just like that, you are now more than protector, more than partner. You are father. The females begin to settle. They groom you. They follow your cues. One builds her nest a little closer. Another starts humming when she sees you. Dungia still watches the trees, but now she does so beside you. Your troop is larger now. 6 females, 1 adolescent, 3 young ones. You learn every sound they make, every twitch, every cough. You feel the group like a second skin. Every grunt from the shadows has meaning. Every missed bird call could signal danger. You are now the wall between this peace and the teeth of the jungle. But it's not all weight and vigilance. Sometimes it's hilarious, like when one of the juveniles farts so loudly it scares himself up a tree, or when Kazi tries to invent a banana dance that ends in a comedic tumble into a patch of stinging nettles. Sometimes the forest gives you gifts, like an unexpected fig tree in bloom, a path cleared by elephants, or an unusually bold parrot that seems to think you're the silly one. And sometimes, rarely, you laugh, softly, quietly. The troop hears it, and they relax. One theory suggests silverbacks who show calmness improve group cohesion. Less stress, fewer fights, more play. It's not just brute force that leads, it's emotional weather, and you, it seems, are learning to be the sun and the storm. That night, you build your nest in the center of the group. No one questions it, no one asks. You're not guarding from the outside anymore. You are the center, and you fall asleep knowing that tomorrow, you will wake not as the wanderer, not as the exile, not even as the rival, but as the one they now trust to keep the world turning. Leadership, it turns out, isn't all chest beating and glorious poses under moonlight. Sometimes it's breaking up a fight over half a beetle. Sometimes it's carrying an infant that isn't even yours, because its mother has a stomachache and refuses to walk another inch. Sometimes it's listening to Dunia stare into the trees, mutter 3 hoots and a cough, and somehow knowing it means she wants to change foraging direction because she smells something weird. Being a silverback is equal parts ruler, referee, father, peacekeeper, meteorologist, therapist, and emergency evacuation coordinator, and every role matters. Your troop has settled into its own rhythm now. 8 members, with the recent addition of a juvenile female from a neighboring group who defected after you casually saved her from a falling branch. You didn't plan it, you were just in the right place at the right time, but she thinks you're a hero now. You're not arguing. Mornings begin with soft grunts, grooming, and slow movement. Afternoons are for foraging, play, naps. Evenings bring nest building and the quiet ballet of sleeping positions. Who's near whom, who gets the best bedding, who snores like a rhino with sinus congestion. One mainstream biological reality: guerrilla troops operate within a defined home range, typically about 4 to 8 square kilometers. While they don't defend fixed territories like lions, they maintain consistent travel circuits, returning to familiar feeding zones in seasonal cycles. You now own such a circuit. You know the bamboo grove that flowers in early mist season, the fruit cluster that drops sweet pods near the fallen tree with the mossy roots, the stream that clears out every third rainfall. You're not just surviving here, you're managing an empire of routine, and that means facing threats too, like the snake. You smell it before you see it. The females are agitated, hooting low, moving back. The juveniles are frozen, eyes locked on a low bush. Then it moves, a fat green python, slithering through the grass, thick as your forearm and too close to the nests. You don't hesitate, you charge not to kill, but to warn. You roar, you slap the earth. The snake halts, uncoils. You flare your arms, beat your chest, and dare it to try something. It doesn't, it slips away, slowly, silently. Crisis averted. The troop watches you. No cheers, no applause, just trust, and a little fear. Here's a fringe observation from primatologists. Silverbacks sometimes exaggerate their responses to minor threats, not out of actual fear, but to maintain reputation. After all, if the snake runs, they get credit. If it doesn't, well, nobody wants to find out. That night, Dunia rests closer than usual. You feel her shoulder brush yours as she dozes. The adolescent, Koma, builds his nest nearby too, clearly hoping proximity will protect him from his own snoring. Even Kazi, ever chaotic, grooms your arm, while humming a tune she probably made up this morning. And for the first time in a long time, you feel peace. But peace is a wild, fickle animal, and it rarely stays long, because on the edge of your territory, something new stirs.
Eek.
You smell it on the breeze, metal, sweat, smoke, you hear it, the soft click of movement not made by hooves or paws. You climb a ridge one evening and see them, humans, not many, 2, maybe 3, moving through the trees with quiet urgency. One carries something long and black. The others talk softly into boxes. They haven't spotted you, not yet. You freeze. You watch. They pass. But the unease lingers like a thorn under your skin. Here's a bitter biological fact. Even protected mountain gorilla populations remain at risk. Poaching, habitat destruction, disease transmission, all still loom. And while anti-poaching patrols and community initiatives have made strides, the jungle still has shadows. You don't know what they were doing, but you know they don't belong here. That night, your chest beat echoes longer. You don't sleep much, your troop does, and that you think is what matters. By morning you lead them in a new direction, deeper into older trees, toward the dense groves where human scent fades and the only sound is birds squabbling over breakfast. Coma follows close. Kazi complains. Dunia doesn't speak, but her eyes scan the horizon like yours. You feel older, not in your body, in your bones. You're not just protecting lives now, you're protecting time, buying another season, another sunrise, another week of laughter and beetle fights and stargazing and naps. The forest bends around your path. You walk at the center, not just a silverback anymore, a guardian. The forest is shrinking, not all at once, not like a firestorm or a flood, but slowly, like breath leaving a body, a new clearing where thick trees once stood, a silence where frogs used to scream, a smell of ash, of gasoline, of something human that lingers longer than it should. You notice first, because that's your job, because now you hear everything. You smell smoke 2 valleys away. You hear axes long before your troop feels the change. The fruit trees bloom late. The bark has a strange taste. Even the birds, your lifelong jungle gossipers, have started leaving in odd, silent flocks. You pretend it's nothing. For a while, you focus on the troop, on Kazi's new baby, tiny, loud, and already trying to climb your face. On Dunia, whose limp is getting worse. On Coma, now a proud blackback himself, occasionally trying to chest beat at you when he thinks no one's watching. You let him. You even grunt encouragement once. But the forest is changing. One mainstream ecological fact, gorilla habitat fragmentation, is one of the greatest threats to their long-term survival. Road construction, agriculture, and human settlement slowly cut their world into isolated islands, making migration, food access, and troop movement increasingly difficult. You're living that now. Your range is tighter. The old fig grove, gone, flattened. The seasonal bamboo patch, withered. One of your old watering spots now smells like metal and soap, and the noise. Sometimes at night you hear machines growling in the dark distance, far enough to ignore, close enough to keep you awake. And then, the humans return. Closer this time, you see them from behind a curtain of vines, 3 figures, covered in fabric, masks on their faces. One has a strange metal rod. Another holds a box that clicks and flashes. Not poachers, not tourists, researchers. You know them. You remember their smell from childhood. Long ago, when you still rode your mother's back and watched them from a safe distance. They're not dangerous. Not directly, but they are. Curious. One of them spots you. You hold their gaze. They don't move. You don't either. They lower their box, step back, disappear. But you know this forest is not what it was. You grunt that night, louder than usual. Your troop senses it. They stay close. Dunia doesn't leave your side. Kazi hums lullabies to her baby. Coma crouches nearby, eyes scanning the dark like a soldier. And you think, how long can this hold? Here's a fringe scientific debate. Some primatologists argue that gorillas can detect changes in environmental pressure, altered weather, reduced plant diversity, foreign smells, and adapt their range accordingly. Others claim gorillas are too rooted in habitual patterns to notice gradual collapse until it's too late. But you notice. You don't leave your range. Not yet. But you change your rhythm. You lead faster. You rest less. You scout more. And when the fruit trees don't bloom where they should, you don't wait. You move the group deeper toward the older parts of the forest, the hills where fog never leaves, where roots crawl like sleeping snakes and the trees groan like they remember a time before boots, before trucks, before maps. It's darker there, quieter, safer for now. One night, Dunya coughs in her sleep. You stay awake, listening. Coma shifts in his nest, grumbling about a thorn. You ignore him. You're listening to the forest, to its breath, to the subtle signs of things slipping just out of reach. And then thunder. Not the natural kind. An explosion, distant but deep, like a mountain sighing. The females wake. The infants wail. You rise. You do not panic. You do not roar. You grunt. Low, steady. Follow me. You lead. Away. Not because you know where you're going, but because you must. You remember the old silverback, the one who stepped aside without a fight, who knew when the time had come to pass on the crown, the ground, the story. You're not ready for that yet, but you understand him now, more than ever. And so you lead them into the unknown, through roots and mist, through silence and change. The forest is shrinking, but you're still here, still moving. Your knee gives out. It's small at first, a twinge, a warning. You ignore it, of course. You're a silverback, a legend. You've survived leopards, exile, betrayal by bees, and Kazi singing. What's one sore joint? But the pain doesn't leave. It lingers, like damp bark or regret. You try to walk it off, power through with the same stubborn pride that once made you challenge a rival with a chest beat so fierce it knocked fruit from trees. But this is different. Your stride stiffens. You rise slower from nests. You start leaning against trunks more often, not out of laziness, but necessity. Duntia notices. She says nothing, but she walks closer. Coma notices too. He says everything. You all right? He grunts one morning. You grunt back, nothing. He pretends to believe you. But that night, he builds his nest closer than usual, just near enough. One mainstream biological fact as silverbacks age, their leadership is often challenged, not just by rivals from outside the troop, but by younger males within it. The moment a leader shows weakness, the social fabric begins to strain. You feel it now. In every glance, every pause, every female who hesitates before following you. The respect is still there, but behind it, a question has formed. And Coma, he's not just a blackback anymore. He's massive, fast, confident. His chest beats have a rhythm now. He doesn't flail. He announces. You see the way the younger females look at him. You remember that look, because once it was yours. You don't resent him. You just miss the time when you were the one no one questioned. One morning, you wake up, and the troop is already moving, without you. Not far, just a few steps ahead. But enough. You rise. Slowly, your knee whispers curses in gorilla. You follow, and they wait. They don't leave you behind. Not yet, but it's the first time you weren't the first to rise. Later that day, you hear another male on the ridge. Not Coma. A stranger. His chest beat echoes through the valley, sharp, deliberate, the sound of youth wrapped in ambition. You freeze. Coma responds. Not with fear, with interest. You feel something crack, not in your body, but in your chest. Not pain, not sadness. Permission. You don't roar. You don't charge. You watch. And you realize what the old silverback once realized when he looked at you. This is how it ends. Not with a battle, but with a bow. One fringe theory suggests that the most successful silverbacks aren't those who die in leadership, but those who know when to step aside, preserving the troop by passing the mantle before chaos erupts. That night, you build your nest at the edge of the group, not the center. No one comments. But Duntia comes to lie beside you. She doesn't speak. She doesn't hum. She just rests her hand on yours. And that says more than 1,000 grunts ever could. At dawn, Coma leads. Not with a beat, not with a fight, just with direction. And the troop follows. You rise last, not bitter, just tired. And as you watch your son, yes, you know he's yours, guide the troop into the mist, something in your chest exhales, not defeat, completion. You've done your part. Your blood still walks these trails. Your lessons still echo in every movement. You may no longer lead, but you built this. And now, you begin the final chapter. Not as king, but as ancestor. You move slower now. Each morning takes a little longer to uncurl your body from the nest. Your joints crack like distant tree limbs under a heavy storm. Your breath is heavier. Your limbs, once thick with thunder, now sway like old vines pulled by the wind. You don't roar anymore. You grunt, occasionally, but mostly you listen. The forest still speaks. The trees still whisper secrets. The birds still mock you with their cackling, high-pitched symphonies. But now you no longer try to dominate the rhythm. You simply exist inside it. Your days are solitary again. Not exile, not abandonment. Just quiet. Coma's troop, your old troop, moves nearby. You hear them most mornings. Chest beats, laughter, the soft hoots of infants climbing up mothers like vines up bark. Sometimes you catch a glimpse of Dunya from the shadows. She sees you too. She never comes over, but she looks. And you nod. You don't follow, because you know your presence now would only confuse things, would split the group's center, would shift gravity, and leadership demands clarity. You've become something else now. A watcher, a whisper, a flicker of movement in the trees that makes the young ones wonder if legends grow old or if they just disappear. One mainstream biological fact: old silverbacks that step down sometimes survive for years on the outskirts of the very troops they once led. They avoid confrontation. They stop breeding, but they remain near, observing, resting, fading at the forest's pace. That's you now. You sleep more, eat slower. You stop climbing trees. Your body no longer allows the recklessness of youth. You nest low. You drink deeply. You walk less. But your mind, it sharpens. You remember everything. Every fight. Every flight. Every leaf-chewing afternoon. Every soft hum in the night. Every baby you helped raise. Every chest you beat with authority. And the moments you didn't. And that said more. One day, while foraging slowly near a familiar ridge, a juvenile stumbles into view. Tiny, curious, not yours, not really, but definitely his. Coma's. The child freezes. You do too. You lock eyes. The wind stills, and for a breath, neither of you moves. Then the juvenile chirps. Once, a soft, curious sound. Not fear, just, hello. You grunt, low. He tilts his head, then scampers back the way he came, rustling the leaves as he vanishes. But the echo of that moment lingers. One fringe theory, never proven, is that older gorillas maintain a kind of symbolic status among nearby troops, especially if they were former leaders. A quiet reverence, a recognition that something ancient is nearby. That evening, the rain begins gently. You find shelter under an old fig tree, one of the last in this part of the forest. Its roots rise like ribs. Its leaves tremble in the breeze. You lie down slowly, knees aching. You curl into yourself, back to the earth, breath shallow. You close your eyes, and as the wind plays in your fur, and the last light fades behind branches twisted like memory, you feel it, the forest taking you back, not with violence, but with welcome. You are not afraid, because you have been the roar, you have been the shadow, you have been the storm, and now you are simply the silence after. The forest quiets as your breath slows. Rain taps gently on the leaves above, a lullaby for one who once shook the trees with his fists. Your body rests, heavy and still, against the soil that raised you, taught you, tested you, and finally, held you. The ache in your limbs fades, so does the memory of pain. What remains is warmth, the warmth of the sun that once kissed your silver back, the warmth of the eyes that followed your lead, the warmth of the nest that held your young, the warmth of the jungle, that watched you rise, fall, and rise again. Somewhere in the distance, the troop hums in sleep. Dunyam murmurs, Kazi snores, Koma's chest beat echoes faintly in the dusk, a rhythm now belonging to him, but born from you, and the jungle, vast, breathing, eternal, welcomes you home, not as a beast, not as a king, but as one of its own. As the night deepens, and the mist curls low around your final nest, your story fades gently into the roots and the rain, carried away by wind, remembered in footprints, echoed in hoots and silence alike. You are gone, but the forest remembers, always.